Hey there! If you've made it here, you've probably heard of Tarkov, you might have seen some Tarkov, but whichever the streamer or friend is that showed you Tarkov didn't really give you an explanation that you thought was clear enough about what the game actually is and what do you do. Tarkov has a reputation for being super hardcore, super complicated, and a roller coaster of emotions. Sometimes it's brutal and sometimes it feels like the best game in the world. But if you have absolutely no idea what's going on whenever you're watching someone play Tarkov, hopefully we can answer those questions for you in this video.
Ooh. I've been streaming over on Twitch for about 3 years now. However, the first 2 years of that was pretty much exclusively Warzone. So when I moved over to Tarkov, I got asked this question 1,000 times. What is Escape from Tarkov? Now you can ask 10 different people and get 10 different answers. So let's go and take a look at what the Escape from Tarkov website says. Escape from Tarkov is a hardcore and realistic online first-person action RPG/simulator with MMO features and a story-driven walkthrough. You got all that? Yeah, me neither. Let's try and break it down in a little bit more detail since the game is so deep. I'm dead. Tarkov definitely has a lot of this.
If one spawned up here, they probably ran this way.
I'm dead. To a mine. Some of this.
Chat, my butthole is puckered so hard, you could probably shove a bottle up there and it unscrew the lid.
And then sometimes
Safe here? That's cool.
this.
Yeah, I had the key to that room.
Yeah, but like I've never seen just like a safe to open.
It's like a weak crystal safe.
Oh,
Yes. That was the best shot I've ever taken. And it's those moments that make this game like no other game. Now the website already gave us a huge list of game categories that Escape from Tarkov falls into, but they missed the main one. It's an extraction looter shooter. And what that means is the goal of each raid is to extract with loot. But wait a minute, it's not that simple. That's when the quests come into it. Now Tarkov is currently still a beta, so it has no main story quest, and that's due to release with version 1.0. The quests that we have in the game are a selection of side quests, which typically involve going to a certain map or area and killing PMCs, killing scavs, or collecting certain items. In some cases, you're also restricted to certain weapons, weapon platforms, or even certain clothing and armor. Now Tarkov has a fairly complex quest line, and the way you are presented with quests is through traders. Now the topic of traders can be very complicated, so I'll try and keep it brief. There are 8 traders accessible through the menu and 1 in-game trader, which is considered end-game content due to the complexity of completing all the quests to actually reach that trader. But each trader is a specialist in a certain type of item, and completing quests for each trader increases your reputation with that trader, along with unlocking further quests. The benefit of increasing reputation with traders is that at each tier with the traders, you'll unlock more powerful equipment, whether that's ammunition, armor, weapons, or weapon attachments. Now, all these items you can buy from traders, along with anything you've received as a quest reward or brought back from a raid, you keep here in your stash. The starting size of the stash depends on which version of the game you've purchased. The more expensive, the more room you get. But if you haven't purchased the more expensive version of the game, don't worry, you can still upgrade the stash through regular game progression to the same size. With the way the game incentivizes progression through questing and traders, there are a few key milestones that a lot of players normally aim for. The first one being max traders, which is reached at level 42, and also reaching the reputation requirements with all of the traders. The other major goal for a lot of players is Kappa. Now Kappa is an extra large secure container, which is only obtainable by completing most of the quests in the game, handing in every single streamer item, and also reaching level 55. The special thing about a secure container is that whatever's in it when you die, you still get to keep. You will never lose it. So you can see why having the flex of Kappa also has a little bit of extra utility too. In Tarkov, you also have access to a hideout, and the hideout gives us access to crafting items and also getting some buffs to your player. The other major game element outside of the raids themselves is the Flea Market. The Flea Market allows players to buy and sell items at a price of their choosing, which means sometimes the Flea Market can have its own economy. There are items which are restricted from the Flea, such as high tier ammo and armor, but unlocking the Flea Market at level 15 is definitely a priority for most players, as the ability to buy the items that you need in the game is a huge benefit. Now that's a hell of a lot of information to take in, and that's not even including playing the game. So why don't we take a look at how raids work? The first thing we need to know about raids is that there are multiple playable and NPC factions. Players can play as a PMC or a Scav, and the NPCs are separated into a bunch of different categories. You have AI Scavs with different difficulties. You have Scav bosses, rogues, raiders, dragoons, and cultists. Now, it's not super important to know the differences between all of these kinds of AI. However, it is important to know that some of them are friendly with each other and also friendly with player Scavs, and some of them will fight each other. Now that we've touched on that, let's talk about what you can do as a player. You can load into a raid as a PMC or a Scav. Loading in as a PMC requires you to bring in your own kit. Your PMC can take in any gear that you have in your stash into a raid. When you spawn in as a Scav, you will be given a random kit, but you will also spawn into the raid much later. And for the most part, you'll be unable to complete any quests by playing as a Scav. Your PMC and Scav also have separate progression trees, so leveling skills on your Scav does not give you XP or level any of your skills on your PMC. Most people use Scav runs to make some extra money without risking losing your PMC gear. Once you've chosen PMC or Scav, you'll get to the map selection screen. There are currently 9 maps in the game, each with a different maximum duration and player count. You can PMC and Scav on every map aside from labs, where you can only run your PMC. At the bottom of the screen, you'll be able to see 2 different times, which are 12 hours apart, which gives you some flexibility on what time of day you want to play. Tarkov time is 7 minutes to 1 actual minute, so the clock progresses quite quickly. Both the factory start times are fixed at 3 AM and 3 PM, and labs only has 1 time. The time of day doesn't affect it. The last thing before we finally get into a raid is insurance. When loading into a raid as a PMC, you can pay for your gear to be insured. The way the insurance works is any items that are still left in the game at the end of the map when the timer runs out will be returned to you through the insurance service. Anything that you bring in that is brought out by another player won't come back because that player's now got that in their stash. Insurance covers most of your gear, but it won't cover consumables such as grenades, ammunition, or meds. Here we are finally queuing into a raid, but how does a raid normally play out? Let's have a quick look. I'm dead. Oh my god, dude, they were everywhere. That's how a lot of my raids end, but that's not how they start. Here you can see a map of customs. The yellow arrows facing downwards are the PMC spawns. When the raid starts, all of the PMCs spawn at the same time, typically around the edge of the map. The bosses on the map also spawn at the start of the raid. On some maps, the AI Scavs can take a couple of minutes to spawn in, but on maps like Factory, they can spawn in instantly. Once all the PMCs are spawned, there are usually some common paths that people will take to different POIs on the map, and a lot of the PvP action can take place in the first 5 to 10 minutes of the raid when people are fighting over the POIs or crossing paths trying to travel across the map. Once a PMC has completed their objective, whether that's killing players, finishing a quest, or collecting some loot, they then need to get themselves to an extract. Again, the extracts are typically located near the edges of the map, but some of the extracts, even if listed to you, are not always available. Some extracts need a key to unlock them, and some extracts sometimes require mechanics to open them, such as shooting a flare or going and turning on a power switch somewhere. There are even some conditional extracts which require you to sometimes have no backpack, not be wearing body armor, or be carrying a Red Rebel melee weapon and some paracord. Reserve can be one of the most brutal maps to learn as a new player because every single extraction requires some sort of condition or mechanic to be met to be able to use. When you extract from a raid or die, you'll be presented with the post-raid summary, which is made up of a few different screens.
Dude, 9k XP that raid. I killed 4 PMCs 4 scavs and 3 guards.
There'll be a summary of kills you got during the raid, a quick rundown of stats and combat, a health screen to show you what damage you took and from what kind of ammo, and an opportunity to heal your player ready for the next raid.
3, I got the quest part. I got hit count 71 that raid.
Once out of the raid, either from dying or extracting, it's likely you're gonna have to spend some time in the menus, either offloading the loot from the raid before and replenishing heals and ammo, or rebuilding your whole kit to go in again. Even with a larger size stash, if you are frequently getting out of raids, it's super easy to fill up your stash. So part of the time in the stash is making sure you're putting stuff in the right place and keeping things tidy. This can mean there's a lot of downtime between raids, and comments from chat like, how is Menu Simulator going today? Most of the systems in Tarkov are very complex, whether that's from the health system, which has 20 plus different kinds of injuries and different items that are required to heal them, different classes of armor with different materials and different durabilities, a flea market where you can buy and sell found in raid items, a huge host of different calibers of ammunition with different penetration and flesh damage values, and a extremely in-depth weapon modification system. All of this adds up to a practically vertical learning curve for this game, which makes it even more rewarding once you become successful in some of your questing or tasking.
Killed another guard. Got him. Let's go.
So there you have it. There's Tarkov in 10 minutes. If you made it this far, I'm sure you can appreciate how it's super difficult to try and distill Tarkov down into 1 or 2 sentences that you can explain in 30 seconds or a minute. But hopefully with all of the explanations and the visuals, you now got a much better understanding of what Tarkov is, how the game plays, and why people get so hooked on it. If you found this video informative, you learned anything new, hit that subscribe, hit the like button, turn the bell on so you know when I'm posting further videos. This is the first video in a planned series of explaining each mechanic in depth. So if you're new to Tarkov and still don't understand all of the mechanics in the game, I'm hoping to do a video about healing, a video about movement, a video about combat mechanics, etc. as kind of a guide series for new players. In the meantime, you'll be able to catch me almost daily over at twitch.tv/Lucifer192. The link will be in the description. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
Someone just tried killing you.
Are you on the
Grenade
hill?
was thrown at you.
I'm with somebody on the hill.
Oh, to the left, to the left.
Yeah.
He's at the tree. He's at the tree. A tree in front of me.
Did I just hit fire kill him?
I don't know.
I think I saw him drop. I might be wrong. I might be wrong.
He's dead.
No way!
He's dead.
That was such a good shot.